All right, hour number 3 of the Rich Eisen Show. We are on the air. Dave Roberts of the Los Angeles Dodgers already joined us. Manager, Dodgers opening day right here in Chavez Ravine, right across town in lovely Los Angeles, California, tomorrow against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Boston Red Sox open tomorrow in Seattle.
Great.
Hey, man. Congratulations. Raise that banner.
No, I'm just excited. Home opener Fenway. They always have the Patriots come out when they win the Super Bowl, so that'll be pretty fun. I'm guessing that's going to happen.
Is that what's going to happen? Gronk will come out there?
With all the trophies.
With all the trophies?
Six of them right now.
Gosh.
6 of them.
Dean Blandino, the head of NFL refs, before Al Riveron, the current head of NFL refs, now Dean, a Fox Rules analyst, came on in hour number 2 and said that he's concerned about the last 2 minutes of football game. Doesn't know how it's going to work. He called it the most significant replay change since they brought replay back in 1999. Yeah. And that in terms of unintended consequences, in the same way that you could right now, before the rule that was passed yesterday, challenge whether a ball was tipped or not, thus negating a pass interference call. Because you can hit anybody down the field you want with the ball in the air if it's been tipped already. So ball's been tipped, defensive back can just do what he wants to. He can push a receiver right over, ball in the air. And if it's called pass interference, you could throw a challenge flag, say, hey, that ball was tipped, you need to pick up that flag. And now what you can see is, let's just say it was ruled that the ball was tipped and there was no pass interference on the play. Ruled. You can go into replay and say the ball was, in fact, not tipped at all. And that should be pass interference. That's one way that you might see this rule rear its head if you don't like it. Another way is somebody says, hey, you called defensive holding. And that wasn't. We're going to go underneath the hood and say ball was actually in the air. So it wasn't a defensive hold. It was pass interference. So you need to give us the yardage all the way down the field. Or you could basically say it was pass interference. You called it pass interference against me, but it really was defensive holding because the ball wasn't in the air yet. Let's review that. And now your team that had pass interference called against you can't have defensive holding called against you because that's not reviewable. But it is reviewable that the ball was in the air, and thus...
I'm also just wondering...
I mean, there's going to be so much stuff that will totally confuse you.
How many times during games the defensive back is going to look over at his head coach and be like, I was interfered, throw the challenge flag. It was offensive interference on this play.
We will see it, but it still is something that a coach will have to be judicious about because it has not broadened. The number of challenges has not been broadened. It's still 2 to get a third for free. And if you've already missed your first, you might want to make sure that the second you're damn sure about because you don't want to be without challenges the rest of the game. That's for sure.
And I'm glad they added the 2-minute part because can't you see someone challenging a Hail Mary? Because everyone gets interfered with on a Hail Mary.
I know.
Play.
So you better be careful, too.
Right.
And then there's offensive pass interference. All that said, if it gets rid of what happened in the NFC Championship game, right now, all for it. We'll see how it works.
I also just think the chances of that happening, like we saw in the NFC Championship game happening again, are 0. Because we all saw what happened, and we all saw the consequences because of it.
Then again, I'm not willing to take that chance anymore. It was so bad. I mean, how the hell did that happen?
Right.
Just spend another 20 seconds on how the hell did that happen? How did nobody see that? Come on. So there has to be something in place to make sure that doesn't happen again.
I think the embarrassment of what happened is enough. I don't think they needed to make a rule change.
844-204-RICH, number to dial. Our poll question is, what's the best basketball movie of all time in honor of White Man Can't Jump being anniversary today. Hoosiers running away with it, correct?
46% Hoosiers.
And I say it's the best sports movie of all time. Now, the American Film Institute, the venerable AFI, in 2013 listed the best sports movies of all time, right?
Correct.
And Hoosiers is 4th on the list.
4th.
Behind Raging Bull, Rocky, and The Pride of the Yankees. Now, you could say Pride of the Yankees is better than Hoosiers. I have not seen it in forever and a day.
Amazing.
Okay? Maybe I should look at it again. But as you know, my stance on Rocky is not a sports movie. It is a love story. And Raging Bull is not a sports movie. Come on. It's about Jake LaMotta, who happens to be a boxer. And some of the boxing scenes are incredible. But that's not like, hey, you want to see a sports movie tonight? Sure. Put on Raging Bull.
I mean, they have Caddyshack in the 10.
Well, Raging Bull, tough rewatch.
Raging Bull is, somebody tweeted out whilst I was out of office.
Okay.
About if you're on an island, like what's your 5 movies that you'd have?
Sure.
3 of my 5 are De Niro movies.
Goodfellas,
Godfather Part 2, and Midnight Run. Okay, so that's the way I feel about De Niro. Even I'm saying Hoosiers is the best sports movie ever. Was Rudy on that list? No.
Rudy not on the list.
All right, Billy Corbin is joining us, a sports documentarian of note, to say the least. He is here to talk about his new documentary on the biogenesis steroid scandal that cost A-Rod 211 games, eventually just the 2014 season. And
forfeited $22 million.
And also his reputation that he has remarkably restored and rebuilt.
It's crazy.
All right. Billy Corbin's joining us here in short order. So let's get in a news update brought to you by our friends at Honda.
And now,
Brockman with a special live report.
Brockman with the news.
Brought to you by the Honda Dream Garage Spring Event, where you can get a great deal on the Honda of your dreams with available Honda sensing and loads of high-tech features. You don't want to miss out on these deals. Head into your local Honda dealer today. What do you have over there, Christopher?
Okay, so we heard some hilarious quotes yesterday from the coaches' brunch from Bill Belichick and John Gruden. Well, this one really made me laugh. Freddie Kitchens, new Browns coach, was asked about what he's going to say to Odell Beckham when they finally meet.
What will be the first thing you say to him when you meet him?
I love you. Give me a hug, Like, show me how to catch the ball with one hand. I don't know. Introduce myself and get rolling on getting to know him as a person.
He is the anti-Hugh Jackson, man. He is the anti-Hugh. It really is.
I know, it's great.
So Odell responded?
The Browns posted out that exchange that we just saw. Odell, couple of crying faces, done and done.
Done and done. He's, again, if he handles the in-game coaching decisions well, the when to challenge, when not to challenge, when to use timeouts, clock management, if he handles that with aplomb, the Browns are, they're set, because the way he's as I said, the anti-Hugh Jackson. There does not appear to be a political, power-crazed bone in his body.
He's a member of the dog pound.
He does not appear to be that at all. He's just a guy that's just going to grind tape, make sure that Baker Mayfield gets what he needs, make sure that these guys are fed and happy, and go to work. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see it play
12-1 to win the Super Bowl.
That's nuts. That's positively insane. That's crazy.
All right, speaking of insane, Dave Gettleman continues to defend Eli Manning on Good Morning Football today. Said, quote, "I really believe there's been a false narrative out there that Eli is finished. He's done. He had a heck of a year." Talking about 2018. Eli is still a quality NFL quarterback. It wears me out. It really does.
Here's the deal. This is the guy who said that they didn't.
If you have to keep defending Eli Manning, maybe there's something to
we don't know
what's
what
being said.
We don't know what the context of the question was. It could have been brought up. We have no idea if he was the one that just starts having this on his lips. But he's the guy who said we did not re-sign Odell to trade him, and then they traded him. So he's a guy that could be literally within 28 days of acquiring Josh Rosen on a draft night.
Maybe.
Okay.
He's also really on the hot seat this year.
Who, Gettleman?
I think so.
Well, I mean, he's the guy that if the Washington Redskin secondary balls out this year and picks off Eli Manning, there's Gettleman's fingerprints all over there by rescinding Josh Norman's franchise tag and not giving one to Landon Collins, just letting him walk. What else you have over there?
Saw this rumor yesterday. Dolphins tried to make a blockbuster trade before last year for Matthew Stafford.
I heard that too, brother. Who reported that? Who finally went out and said something like that?
I saw it in the Miami Herald and the Detroit Free Press.
Okay. And the Lions said no, huh? How about Cliff Kingsbury? How about him?
Yeah, so we got this story. So Cliff Kingsbury, 39-year-old new head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. He says he's going to implement cell phone breaks during meetings this year. He says, I think coming from the college ranks, obviously these young men, that's got to be quick hitters, 20 minutes at a time, give them a break and get them back in. We want to make sure we have them. They're focused, they're locked in, and we're maximizing that time. And if we've got to split it up for shorter meetings, that's what we do.
Okay, so how long will the cell phone breaks be?
The meeting time is going to be 20 to 30 minutes, and then they're going to take a little break if you can tell that attentions are waning.
Because they can't figure out how to last longer than a half an hour without checking their Twitter feed.
Checking their phone, checking Twitter, Instagram.
How long can you go without checking your phone?
Not that often. I mean, not that long.
I know.
It's attached. You know that Apple, the new update has that screen time thing. Have you been?
I know.
Have you been checking your stats on that?
I get it.
I always feel good when the new week comes out and it says I'm down from the week before. I always
Makes you feel good.
I always feel good about
right?
that.
What's your screen time at? Oh, I'm more than happy to share you with my screen time as an average.
I mean, you want to do it right now? I think it's something like 8 hours.
Yeah, 8 hours,
something like that. Yeah,
but I need to keep up on things. I need to keep abreast of things.
100%. It's part of the job.
8 hours?
How accurate can it be?
Low.
Oh, what is your screen time?
What's yours?
We're up in the double digits.
By the way, could you imagine?
Really?
Could you imagine if we gave Del Tufo a screen time break on the Rich Eisen show?
Mike, check it right now.
Do you need one? Like if
check
we
it
told
right
you,
now.
No. If we told you that you can't look at your Twitter feed during the show while you're on the air,
as I'm
would you be able to handle it?
Mike, what's your screen time for today?
If I lost interconnectivity with social media, like
during the show,
I actually panicked when Facebook and Instagram went a couple weeks ago.
I know that happened. I know,
was freaking out. I was like, "Oh my!"
That happened on the day of the new league year. I was on the NFL Network set, and Instagram was down, and I even said on the air, I'm like, if Instagram was down 2 weeks ago, would it be possible that Antonio Brown is still with the Pittsburgh Steelers? The Steelers are like, now Instagram goes down. Couldn't have happened while he was on the elliptical with his big chest.
How would we have known where you went on vacation?
I mean, good job, Brian. Perfect.
Who fed you that in your ear?
Nobody, baby. Nobody, baby. A couple other things. A lot of people wanting the Raiders on Hard Knocks. I know we're all one of them.
And?
Mark Davis told ESPN yesterday it would be disruptive.
Oh, boy.
We've got a lot of business to take care of, getting ready for the season. I appreciate that they might think we'd make great TV, but we got something to accomplish.
Okay.
The other eligible teams for Hard Knocks, the Raiders are one of them.
Yep.
Lions, 49ers,
no, thanks.
Giants, Redskins.
Say what? Guess what? Raiders, Hard Knocks, it's happening. And I'll tell you what, Mark Davis, you don't like it? Here's part of Hard Knocks. I want cameras, NFL-filled cameras, going to the barber shop with you. I want to see how that thing gets done. I want to see what happens. It was then that the barber took out... It was right then that the barber took out a bowl, placed it atop the head of Al Davis's son, and began cutting around the circumference until we got one of the more epic hairstyles of all time. All right, we got to take a break. Billy Corbin's waiting, and he knows how to make a documentary. Billy Corbin is on the Rich Eisen Show Green Room Couch, getting ready to join us. There he is. He is the director of the new documentary on biogenesis and its scandal. What an incredible story this is, and the way he tells it is even better. Screwball in theaters near you, coming up shortly. That's next on the Rich Eisen Show. Every car comes with its share of stories. That ding in your bumper when you nervously picked up your first date, the luxury package you got after a big promotion, or the mileage you saved by riding your bike all summer. While you can't put a price tag on your stories, now with TrueCar, you can at least find out what your car's worth when it's time to sell or trade it in. Just go to TrueCar. Simply enter your license plate number and watch how your car's details pop up. Then answer a few questions. Navigation and moonroof, watch as they bump up your value. High mileage, you already knew it was going to cost you, but now you know how much it dings your wallet so you can plan ahead. Once you're finished, you'll get a True Cash offer sent in minutes, which you can take to a local certified dealer to cash out or trade in. So when you're ready to experience a better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today. True Cash offer not available in all states. Everybody's got a to-do list. Drop off the dry cleaning, pick up some milk. Here's an idea. Let's save hundreds of dollars on car insurance to that list. And the good thing is you don't have to drop off or pick up anything. All you have to do is go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes, you could be saving 15% or more on car insurance. Extra money in your pocket, of course. This may be the most rewarding you do today.
And caller number 9 for $1 million. Rita, complete this quote. Life is like a box of... Rita, you're cutting out. We need your answer.
Life is like a box of...
Oh, sorry. That's not what we were looking for. On to caller number 10.
Bad network got you glitched out of luck? Switch to Boost Mobile's super reliable, super fast nationwide network and get 4 lines, each with unlimited gigs for just $100 a month. Plus, get 4 free phones. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save.
All right, welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show, not just to our listeners and viewers on our radio stations and audience and brlive.com. For those just into our show on brlive.com, my guest has been on this show before when he was promoting the documentary Cocaine Cowboys a few years ago. His 30 for 30 on the U is some must-see stuff. So is Screwball, the documentary film about the biogenesis scandal from his native Miami, Florida. Good to see you, Billy Corbin. How are you, brother?
I'm great, thanks.
So let's get into this thing right here. This documentary is about the Tony Bosch scandal that got A-Rod a year's suspension. Manny Ramirez got popped and Melky Cabrera got popped. Why did you make this documentary, Billy?
Actually, in November of 2013, we were pitched by Alex Rodriguez.
Okay. So this... You're laughing already at that.
Wait, what?
Okay, because again, this documentary is not very, what's the word for, it's not very complimentary to Alex Rodriguez.
I'm not getting an invitation to the wedding, if that's what you mean.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it's also extremely accurate. It's all very true. It's all exactly how it happened.
Well, I mean, the stories are being told by Tony Bosch, or Dr. Tony Bosch, as he referred to himself.
Air quotes.
In quotes, who was the one who was at the center of all of this, and his dad was the one who was writing the prescriptions for these drugs. And also the fella Porter Fisher, who was the one who leaked the documents.
The whistleblower.
The whistleblower, if you will.
Yeah.
And these guys are telling the story from their own first person, and your unique way in which you have them tell their stories we'll get to in a second. But this is absolutely straight from the horse's mouths that we're seeing right here.
Yeah, all first person.
Why did Alex Rodriguez pitch you this idea?
So in November of 2013, he was in the midst of the arbitration with MLB. He was the only one of the players involved in the biogenesis scandal that appealed his suspension. I guess why not? What do you have to lose? It was the longest suspension in the history of the game.
211 games.
Yeah, he went for it. And so he took a break from that arbitration and came down to his office in Coral Gables, in very affluent suburb of Miami, where the University of Miami is actually located. Alex Rodriguez Field is located. And his publicist hit me up and said, Alex would like to meet with you to discuss the possibility of doing a tell-all documentary. And I was like, hell yeah, I'll take that meeting.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to do it real hush-hush and quiet at his office. And it turns out they wanted to meet us on a weekday at high noon at the most popular restaurant in town, like the power lunch spot of Coral Gables, which is like 2 miles from UM, which if anywhere I'm going to get recognized because of the U documentaries, it's going to be
at this place,
that proximity to UM. Yeah. And so it was very clear that my producing partner, Alfred Spellman, and I attended that event as like pawns in Alex's kind of PR offensive against MLB at the time. You remember it was like they were in a battle of the legacies, Bud Selig and Alex.
Well, I mean, yeah, there was a whole story about how the protesters outside were actually paid for by Alex Rodriguez. I don't know if that was ever
absolutely it's
documented.
All true.
Okay,
yeah.
So. Yeah, and it was ugly. There was no other way to describe it.
You know what it is? I think Major League Baseball has become like, I think everything else in American life, including politics. It's the WWE. You know, and back when Bud Selig, the steroid commissioner, was on his way out the door on the eve of his retirement, was kind of like, well, maybe I should do something about this now that this scandal has erupted in 2013. He talks to his second command, Rob Manfred, and says, let's look like we're doing something about this. So they come down to Miami, have this farcical investigation that involves the MLB investigators. They have like this internal FBI of like former cops. They sleep with a former nurse of Tony Bosch at one of his clinics. They're paying people off. They've got a slush fund of $125,000 that they're buying stolen medical records in a diner from a convicted felon. The whole thing is just utterly absurd. And then they nail Alex, because what bigger scalp could you get than Alex Rodriguez? And then Bud retires, Rob Manfred takes over, and he goes, well, what's the storyline now? What better than to make a heel a hero and bring back not only A-Rod, but Charlie Hustle, to the game to become commentators, and Pete Rose, and who's not there anymore, of course, but and it worked. I mean, it's a bottom line company, and it's a brilliant storyline.
Now, are you saying Major League Baseball has orchestrated what used to be 2/5 of the people on the set of Fox Baseball? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that it's awfully convenient and it's awfully brilliant. I think Alex is spectacularly good at that job. I don't knock his hustle at all. He's, and so he's earned that position. He's certainly lightened up. He's a lot funnier, a lot more self-effacing. Certainly more so than the guy I met for lunch in November of 2013, who was in, a battle for his life, his legacy, his career, his livelihood, and who spent an hour and a half just lying right to our faces about everything, ever meeting Tony Bosch, ever cheating or using performance-enhancing drugs at that stage of his career. It was a pretty wild meeting, and needless to say, after that, we didn't hear back much from them.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, Billy Corbin, the director of Screwball, about the biogenesis scandal, again in theaters Friday, and then numerous streaming platforms the following Friday after that. How did the meeting with A-Rod finish up? I mean, what happened?
With just more lies, basically. And so we walked away. I thought he was a fascinating guy, really a fragile guy, a sensitive guy. At the time, not much of a sense of humor or any sense of self-awareness. But I thought, what a compelling character to be able to examine, to interview. And I emailed them for the next 6, 7, 8 months. The arbitration resolved in January of 2014. He got a sentence reduction, if you will, but still, I think, a season-long suspension. And so by the middle of 2014, it seemed obvious that they were not really interested in participating in an interview or a documentary. And why not? The strategy has paid off. This whole kind of head in the sand, ignore it and it'll go away strategy has certainly worked for them. I think it's one of the most remarkable image rehabilitations in the history of public relations.
Well, it's not just that, though. I mean, he did come out, and when he did show back up with the Yankees, he came out and threw himself basically on the sword. I mean, he did come out and give a complete total mea culpa. He went and made fun of himself on the stage at the ESPYs. I mean, he has had, as you pointed out, you said no sense of humor about himself or anything like that. He has seemed to take a total reverse pivot on how he has portrayed himself or how he has taken on what he did.
Absolutely.
And I wouldn't say he did much of a mea culpa tour. He didn't really acknowledge what he did or didn't do, what he lied about. The other players like Ryan Braun that he threw under the bus, that his camp deliberately leaked in order to take some of the attention away from him in the thick of the scandal. I don't think he really fessed up to it. I don't think that he has to. I mean, obviously he doesn't have to. But I'm just saying, I don't think he really did any kind of comprehensive apology or discussion about, I think, how profoundly disappointing it was for legions of young kids who look up to these athletes as heroes and role models. So then somebody who did speak with him when he was at a low point, and then, as you point out, you think you were used as a prop or used in a certain way.
Incidentally, I'm totally cool with that. They spelled my name right in page 6. It was in bold. I don't have the juice to make that happen. No. Thank you, Alex. Thank you to his publicist.
This is all just setting up the ultimate question, and I think a lot of fans are wondering, hearing this, if they already weren't wondering it to begin with. Who's the Alex Rodriguez that we're seeing today?
I think a liberated man. I think this was a guy who was kind of trapped by his own kind of failed persona in baseball, who was booed by his own fans in baseball, never really a beloved pop culture figure. I think a guy who was almost, in a way, liberated when he hit rock bottom in this scandal and now feels free to... I hope this is him, meaning, like, I think maybe that this is the person he was always supposed to be and always wanted to be, but felt constrained by fame and fortune. And, of course, when you're generating that kind of revenue, over $400 million over a career, you have so many people around you who rely on you, and so you don't really have a chance to kind of free yourself and go out in public and feel like you could joke around and just be you. And I think it's liberating for someone to be out of the game. Like the only thing he's ever known, the only thing he's ever been told he's good at. And the interesting thing about Screwball is, it turns out it's not about Alex Rodriguez. Don't tell him that. But it's not about A-Rod. It's about these bizarre Elmore Leonard, Carl Hyacin, almost Coen Brothers-esque characters.
It's a great way to put it.
Inhabit this only in Miami kind of world, and
it's the weirdest birdcage I've ever seen.
It's bizarre, and you can't make it up because it's such nonsense. Like,
Without
it's literally
the We Are Family ending, where they're all walking out singing "We Are Family."
It all goes down in a tanning salon.
Who's in drag? Who's Gene Hackman?
I know you're talking about Tony Bosch, who is at the center of all of this, who is the one who was dispensing all of the steroids, using his dad's script paper pad to
who's a legit doctor,
right? A legit doctor, and then this fella Porter Fisher, who is just I don't know what do you describe him? The one who he essentially took the documents from Tony Bosch, who just let it lying around the biogenesis office, took them and sent them to the press because he was pissed about not getting $4,000 back. It's a chunk of change, nice chunk of change. But even Tony Bosch in your documentary said he wishes he had paid that money to avoid everything else that had happened. It's insane.
I think I'm more interested in hearing how you describe Porter Fisher after having watched the documentary.
I guess one would think it would just be a sad figure who's just looking for some sort of relevance. That's what I.
And he found it in these documents. And he took these documents so he stole the documents from Tony Bosch, and then the documents were stolen from him and sold not just to the highest bidder, but every bidder. I mean, anybody willing to pay anything for them, and including Major League Baseball, who's paid $125,000 cash in a diner out of some slush fund, I presume. I don't think they were going to 1099 the convicted felon that they were buying these knowingly stolen documents from. I don't know where MLB gets a slush fund from, but so be it. I don't knock their hustle either. Rob Manfred was in charge of this entire investigation. But listen, you go down to Miami. I mean, when you roll around in the swamp, you're going to get some mud on you. You know what I mean? They play dirty down there.
And if you gotta root this thing out. I mean, in a way too, because everybody was saying, how does the NFL not get the TMZ tapes of all these players that TMZ has the tapes on?
Yeah.
And the reason why is they're not going to take some sort of. Could you imagine if the NFL...
Nobody trusts them.
That's
what it is.
Well, I was just saying, could you imagine if the NFL took a slush fund and gave it to somebody who, for whatever their reason, wanted to leak this tape when they had no right to? Could you imagine?
You're assuming they don't do that?
They don't. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying, Billy? They don't, because otherwise they'd have the tape.
Here's what
Harvey Levin does.
Well, here's what they did. These convicted felons, while they're selling MLB the stolen documents for cash in a diner, they had a buddy at another table with an iPhone filming the transaction so that they could sell the video of the transaction to A-Rod to say, like, hey, you can then release this video. And they wound up getting scared about this, and they deleted it from the hard drive. But A-Rod bought a blank hard drive from them for $6 figures. We have the wire transfer. It's in the documentary. And A-Rod allegedly spent thousands more sending the hard drive around the world to data recovery services to try to get this deleted footage back, and unfortunately couldn't. And so we got footage.
America's sweetheart, Alex Rodriguez.
It's hysterical. But listen, he was desperate, and he grew up in Miami. It's like sunny place for shady people. It rubs off on you, and the type of characters you surround yourself to. And the fact that when you think about it, the career of the highest paid baseball player in history effectively ended over a $4,000 debt between a cocaine-addicted fake doctor and his fake tan-addicted steroid patient. It's just kind of wonderful.
By the way, Billy Corbin, you put a fine point on it. You stuck the landing on that one. And that's why your documentary is called Screwball. And I guess we kind of buried the lead, which is a great way to finish up our conversation here, is there's so many stories that required reenactment because you don't have the footage, obviously, of Tony Bosch talking to Porter Fisher or Porter Fisher to Oogie, who was A-Rod's guy, right? I mean, you don't have these moments documented with film. So you recreated them using children. Oh my God. I can't, why did you think that? I have a theory as to why. I guess you said it at the very beginning, but because some of the things these guys are saying, it sounds like they're 5 years old. And use kids who are like literally, 8, 10, 12 years
8,
old?
9, 10, yeah, right around there.
Saying the most foul things.
Yeah.
But you're using their voices.
They're mouthing.
They're mouthing.
Yes.
You're using Tony Bosch's sit-down interview, off camera, but on camera are the kids mouthing. Were you wearing hair pieces and dressed up?
Facial hair, yeah. And we have to remember, like, when we make sports documentaries, like the U 30 for 30, for example, I don't mean to knock our hustle. It's still documentaries are a challenge to make, but the formula is clear. You talk to sports people. Sports people talk to you about sports games. You go get footage of sports games and put sports game footage on top of sports people talking about sports. That's how it goes. Here, this wasn't about sports. Yeah, it was baseball adjacent, but all these events occur in some shady fake doctor's clinic, in a locker room, at a hotel, at a bar, at a nightclub. For example, Live in Miami Beach, the Fontainebleau. And so what do? There's no footage. So we did recreations. We knew we were going to have to. And I was listening to the characters talking during the interviews, Tony and Porter, who don't like each other. Spoiler alert, but they have a very similar way of talking. And they talk in dialogue. They're like, I walked into his office and I said, where's my money? And he said, I don't have your money. And I said, you better get my money. And he says, what are you going to do about it? And I said, I'm going to break your neck. And I'm like, oh,
by the way, I appreciate you cleaning up the conversation.
No, it's a little more vulgar than that. But I realized we could drunk history this. Because they're talking in dialogue. So we had the actors lip sync the dialogue, but the actors will all be 8, 9, and 10 years old. And not only did it strike me that they all acted like children, but it kind of works for me on multiple layers, not the least of which is that, Tony Bosch ultimately and rightfully so went to federal prison for not only treating professional athletes, but high school kids as well, whose parents and coaches brought them to Tony Bosch to try to get an advantage in the draft. And so that combined with the fact that, like I said, in the end, we deal with this a little bit. These athletes are heroes and role models to young children, and they're sending a message loud and clear, and the kids are getting it because I do Q&As with some of the actors, the young actors from the movie, who answer the question of the audience when they say, what is the moral of the story? What did you learn? What are we supposed to glean from all this? And Brian Blanco, the young kid who plays Tony Bosch in the lab coat and everything, he says, oh, I know. I'm like, you don't have to raise your hand. It's a Q&A. It's all yours, dude. The floor is yours. He's 10. What are you going to do? Right. He said, lie, cheat, and steal, and that's how you win.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, and when it comes from him, it's a little more depressing than when I say it. But the truth of the matter is, these are the lessons that we're teaching our children now.
Who won in this? I mean, who won in this? I know obviously Alex is a totally new life and a new reputation, and he's living it well. But Tony Bosch is a convicted felon. I didn't look at anybody in this movie and say these people have won. I mean, and I honestly, not a single person comes off like anything positive in a way in this whole situation. Although, again, I don't blame baseball for doing whatever the heck it needed to do to root this thing out. That's my belief. But just seeing at the end of this thing,
hey, Pedro Gomez came off fine.
I guess so.
I think he's the only one.
And by the way, the child who plays him is remarkable.
He's remarkable.
So look, Billy, this is truly something else, man. But last one for you here. Did you believe Tony Bosch? I mean, because the guy's he's still referring to people he was treating as patients. I mean, come on now. He goes to jail. He's got a story to tell, but he also has.
I'll tell you, one person who believes in Tony Bosch is Tony Bosch. That man has a lot of self-confidence, and despite the fact that he went to medical school in Belize, what one of our interview subjects refers to as the Belize School of the Medical and Performing Arts, he very much is a true believer in his own ability. And I will tell you, this guy didn't do traditional advertising, because this was very much a gray market business at best. He thrived on word of mouth, and he got that word of mouth because he got results for his clients. So he was doing something right. And I'll tell you, one of the epilogues we didn't get to do in the movie, so ran out of time and money. But Tony winds up in minimum security federal prison, a camp in Alabama, and he is there teaching nutrition to his fellow inmates. Jeff Skilling from Enron is there teaching business to their fellow inmates. And Jesse Jackson Jr. is in prison there teaching political science and civics to his fellow inmates. And, listen, we're just trying to make A-Rod great again. That's what we're trying to do,
It's worked.
Dr. Hannibal Lecter is teaching a class on culinary arts. I mean, oh my gosh. Billy, thanks for coming on, man. You made a great film. Check out Screwball in select cities this Friday, and then on numerous streaming platforms the Friday after that. At Billy Corbin on Twitter and Instagram. Good to see you, brother.
Thanks, Rich.
Back with more in a moment. It happens to the best of us. Right before a big deadline, or just when you're printing handouts for a key presentation, the printer runs out of ink. Are you tired of frequent expense and hassle of replacing ink cartridges? With an internal ink storage tank, larger ink cartridges, and an intelligent page gauge that it displays ink levels, Brother Inkvestment tank printers can literally change the way you ink. Brother Inkvestment tank color inkjets all-in-one printers deliver ultra convenience along with a low cost per page and affordable upfront price. Enjoy uninterrupted printing with your choice of up to 1 or 2 years of ink, including in-box. Inkvestment Tank helps to eliminate frequently buying and replacing ink cartridges. Inkvestment Tank printers can keep your business running while delivering super functionality for your business, including print, copy, scan, and fax. With Inkvestment Tank, there's no sweating over your printer running out of ink. Just the features, convenience, reliability, and affordability you need. Learn more at ChangeTheWayYouInk.com and get ready to change the way you ink. All right, let's talk about Sleep Number, folks. I'll tell you what, my sleep is so vastly improved thanks to Sleep Number because I get to set my side of the bed to the way I want it. What do I mean by that? There's a number system if you already don't know. My Sleep Number setting is 60. My wife's is 70 out of 100. Just 10 numbers apart, but it is the world of difference because so many couples that disagree on mattress firmness do not with the Sleep Number bed because you could set your side to the same setting every night or even adjust it if you want to make sure that it's just right for both of you. Or you can have a 360 smart bed that is so smart from Sleep Number, they sense your every move and automatically adjust to you, keeping you sleeping comfortably throughout the night. Sleep Number has been ranked highest in customer satisfaction with mattresses by J.D. Power. And for 2018 award information, just go to jdpower.com. Come in right now and save up to $500 on a select Sleep Number 360 smart bed. Sleep Number is the official sleep and wellness partner of the National Football League. So if your player's balling out, it's because they have a Sleep Number. You'll only find Sleep Number at one of their 575 Sleep Number stores nationwide. Visit sleepnumber.com/Eisen to find the one nearest you.
Stay tuned for 60 seconds of AP News headlines right after this podcast.
All right, welcome back to our show. I mean, that was just a great interview with Billy Corbin right there, man. Not to go all Romy here and pat myself on the back for a good interview, but I mean, that was epic, really intense because it's just it's an interesting way of presenting the whole story.
Yes,
and it's really remarkable how, as he pointed out, one of the greatest baseball careers. Because had Biogenesis not come out, had, again, this fella Porter Fisher, who gave $4,000 to Tony Bosch to try and buy his way in as an investment, okay, had he been paid back his $4,000? And again, this documentary shows that Tony Bosch had 2 residences combined, $12,000 a month mortgage. I mean, what?
He said he had $40K a month in expenses.
I mean... So if he had not lived that life,
right,
and just decided, okay, I'm going to just pay this guy off because pay him his money back,
just give him his money back. That's all he wanted,
and all of that had not come out. Would A-Rod be in line for the Hall of Fame, or what his previous steroid transgression counted against him? Because again, the Biogenesis thing on top of what he had already admitted.
I think you're looking at A-Rod 800 home runs. I think you're looking at all-time numbers.
Crazy.
All-time numbers. Because he's only 4 short of 700 now.
As he said, a fake tan-addicted individual who wanted his $4,000 back but didn't get it because of, as he said, some cocaine-addicted fake doctor wouldn't pay him back, brings down Alex Rodriguez.
And Ryan Braun and Manny Ramirez and Bartolo Colon.
Well, those guys had already... You know, Melky and Ramirez had already popped.
But they were part of this as well.
They were part of it, I know. What a story, and the way he tells it with the kids, too. The mouths of kids.
Like you said, the tragedy in all of this is that he had highschoolers.
I know.
As
It's a serious piece of business. And again, you know, we are going to focus on the positives of baseball tomorrow.
We are.
As opening day hits. Al Leiter, one of our favorites, will join us on the program tomorrow. I do believe he's given up his Yankee calling duties to be on the road more with his son, who's beginning to get into the major leagues. But he's doing some MLB Network work, and Al's one of our favorites. I'm sure he's got a ton of opening day stories. And Pat Williams will be here from the Orlando Magic, who have won 6 in a row. Another great storyteller for the First Variety.
Yeah, Outsider's son pitches at Vanderbilt.
There you go. And coming in studio tomorrow, one of the many people that we vanquished in the Touch of the Vermeil Fantasy Football Victory Tour.
We won, right?
Yeah, we won.
Because Fabiano posted a picture while you were gone of the new trophy.
He texted me the trophy.
Okay.
You guys get
and I said, when do we get it?
Yeah, when's it coming in?
We'll have a very special place here in the Rich Eisen Show studio. He said that he hasn't gotten the names of the previous winners up on the trophy yet. It's a work in progress.
I think we need to have him in to do an official ceremony.
The trophy.
Well, I mean, we need Cantrell in here too, but tomorrow will just suffice with Duff McKagan.
Fantastic.
Big-time Mariner fan. The day that the Mariners put it all on the line against the defending World Series champion Red Sox in the Mariners opening day game.
Well, the Mariners are 2-0, right?
That's true.
They already started their season.
They haven't lost.
It's really
they're already a full game in front of the rest of the American League West, but all tied in the loss column. All tied in the loss. One of those rare instances. Tied in the loss, but a game in front. So there you go. That's on tomorrow's program. Final poll results over there, Christopher. What do we have?
The best basketball movie on the anniversary of White Man Can't Jump's release in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
Hoosiers, 47%.
And I kind of feel good about myself.
Okay. Just in general?
Just about Hoosiers and how I feel about it. And I went on a little bit of a rant right in the middle of the show, sort of like a man spread centerpiece, sort of like the Andy Reid of this show.
Man spread centerpiece. If you're looking for a last-minute baseball
fantasy man spread centerpiece, although Andy Reid is the avatar, it's kind of I don't know who the man spread would be. Would be what, Cecil Fielder, probably in some sort of Tigers team photo from back in the day.
Prince Fielder,
just some sort of big old man spreader who just does not care what one right foot and one left foot is going down, and we are just going to take up space. When was the last time you think Andy Reid sat in the middle seat of anything? You know what I'm saying?
Never.
But I'm just so proud that I trashed Rudy while elevating Hoosiers. Seriously.
Why do you always have to bring Rudy down?
Yeah, I mean,
because it's a fake story. It's a fake story. It's maybe a real guy.
But the thing is it's not like Michigan's not in the movie at all, so it's not like he's got a leg up on it. Like they beat. He has a sack against Georgia Tech. Okay.
So what? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I mean, when you have a rivalry against somebody, it never ends.
Do you have a rivalry against them?
Have you seen any? Have you seen Pride of the Yankees? Of course not. No. Would you see anything of the Yankees? No. Of course not. No. Okay. So, just practice what you preach. That's all I ask. Hey, before we end today's show, I want to send a shout out to our good friend and compadre Michael Irvin, who scared the heck out of everybody yesterday by posting a photograph of himself in a hospital gown. And he went through a throat biopsy. We don't know the results yet, but he Instagrammed out that he is scared out of his mind. He lost his dad to throat cancer at 51. He almost had we almost had to sit him down on a game day morning or two this year because his voice was shot. Like, if you remember, he was going crazy after the Cowboys beat the Saints on Thursday night, and he was running around, and we just thought that he yelled so much and his voice gave way.
Yeah, this is scary stuff.
It didn't return. His voice didn't return. He did, I think, require a steroid to get his voice back, and he sounded great. I spoke to him yesterday. He sounded great. I had him on speakerphone. My son Xander came over, asked if it was Uncle Michael on the phone. I told him yes. He said, "Hi, Uncle Michael. How you doing?" He's like, "Fine, buddy." And he says, "How are you doing?" He goes, "I'm just here with my mom and dad. They're old." I don't know why he said that, and he ran out of the room. And Irv could not stop laughing for like 60 to 90 seconds. And then he asked why when I was out of town, he didn't come in and guest host the show. I'm like, dude, you want to do it? Anytime. So
wow,
we may have him in studio, and I just wanted to say to him, in this microphone, I told him yesterday that I'm sure it's all going to be just fine.
Yeah,
but in the meantime, he said he wanted prayers on his behalf and his family, and so we are giving it to him. and tell him, Irv, you are a loved man. And as you know, that's the way I end my interviews with him pretty much every time, is to tell him I love him.
He's the best.
I do feel that way about Michael Irvin. So all of us here at the show, we're sending our prayers, and we look forward to hearing the news that you just checked the box and everything's fine. Again, tomorrow's show, Al Leiter, Pat Williams, and Duff McKagan, and you, right here on brlive.com every day. What do you got over there? Rudy. Okay. Okay. Fake news. Hashtag, man. Hashtag fake news. Rudy, the enemy of the people.
Podcast One's coverage of March Madness runs on Diesel.
All right, it's March, which means it's time for the madness. So you know we got it all covered on the big podcast with me, Shaq. The legendary, get him out the game, baby, Dick Vitale. How you doing, Coach?
Hey, Shaq, what's going on, man?
And we're way more than just sports, Shaquille. So be prepared to laugh as we bring you the best basketball coverage.
The big podcast with Shaq. Check us out with new episodes every Monday at podcastone.com.
March Madness is still here. Did your bracket bust? Don't worry, go to BetDSI.com where you can watch all the madness and even bet all the games until the final whistle. BetDSI has the fastest payout in the industry. Simply play, win, and get paid. Try live betting at BetDSI where you could bet on the games from start to finish. That's every play and every minute down to the last whistle. So what are you waiting for? Go to BetDSI.com and use promo code DRMadness. New members get a 100% bonus match. So are you ready for some extra cash this March? Remember, it's only a game until you bet it at BetDSI.
I'm Rita Foley with an AP News Minute. President Trump is telling Fox News Channel Sean Hannity the now completed Russia investigation was a cloud.
It was a cloud. It was a cloud that most people didn't believe, fortunately.
The investigation found no evidence the Trump campaign conspired with Russia to influence the election. President Trump calls the investigation an attempted takeover.
If we had done this to President Obama, you'd have 100 people in jail right now, and it would be treason.
House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler says the Attorney General has told him the yet-to-be-released Mueller report is fewer than 1,000 pages long. WOW Air, which flies from airports in the U.S. and Europe, has abruptly gone out of business, stranding passengers on 2 continents. A single ticket sold in a Milwaukee suburb matched all 6 numbers in the Powerball drawing, $768 million. And Wayne Messam, the mayor of Miramar, Florida, is joining the crowded race for the Democratic presidential nomination. I'm Rita Foley.